the man behind so much suffering in super oil. Zhang Ji, also known as Tran Kai or Vang Sang, is a Chinese-born businessman born in 1987. Who later obtained Cambodian citizenship and was recognized by the government as a businessman contributing to the nation. This image looks familiar. I think I've seen it somewhere before. He is the chairman of Prince Holding Group, a prominent corporation in Cambodia. With dozens of real estate, banking, and investment projects once praised by the media for helping to change the face of Cambodia. Moreover, Tran Kai established a charity fund, donating millions of US dollars to social activities and is seen as a model of a successful young entrepreneur. However, behind that glamorous image, Tran Kai is accused by the US and UK of being the mastermind of a transnational cyber. According to the US Department of Justice, Tran Kai operated a global and cryptocurrency investment system with its center based in Cambodia. Once again, this scenario is very familiar. In this system, thousands of people were forced to work in scam camps, where they impersonated investors or online lovers to lure victims. Not only in Vietnam, China, Thailand, Myanmar, but also in the US, Europe, and other places to transfer investment funds. The embezzled money was laundered through over 100 shell companies. Turns out it's like that, then converted into real estate, private jets, yachts, and expensive art pieces. Upon extending the investigation, the US discovered and seized the amount equivalent to 15 billion US dollars, believed to be assets of a criminal network led by Tran Kai. This is the largest cryptocurrency seizure in the history of the US Department of Justice. Additionally, the UK also froze numerous assets suspected to belong to Tran Kai, including a £12 million villa and a nearly £100 million office building. So much money it's hard to describe. Tran Kai is a typical image of scammers in Cambodia. So, among scammers in Cambodia, no matter the scale, has Tran Kai been the top one or not? Let's try comparing Tran Kai. If you want an easy comparison, Cambodia's GDP in 2024 is about 31 billion US dollars according to World Bank sources. Meanwhile, just the Bitcoin seized by US investigators from Tran Kai's network amounts to $15 billion, which is half of Cambodia's economy. And this is only counting the Bitcoin, not including other assets. If added, it might even exceed Cambodia's annual GDP. These numbers are insane. A fraud empire whose underground GDP could sustain an entire country for half a year. And if that money were divided equally among Cambodia's 17 million people, each person would receive nearly 900 US dollars. A figure many Cambodians would dream of. Yet, all this money wasn't generated from factories. Not from agriculture, not from industry. Not from services, but it was created from keyboards, from social media accounts and dreamlike stories. Of course, that's just virtual love. The leader of this empire is none other than Tran Kai. Tran Kai is not only the shadow network boss, but also a symbol of a new way of getting rich. Using technology to commit mass fraud, operating scam camps that force labor, where thousands of people are forced to pretend to be investors, brokers, and virtual lovers to trap victims. These places are guarded like prisons, with high walls, barbed wire. And anyone who resists is brutally beaten, electrocuted. But the most surprising thing is not the brutality, because everyone already knows about it, so it's not very surprising. What shocks people the most is its economic. It's always said that scams earn a lot of money, but how exactly? An average scam camp has from 500 to 2,000 people. Each person is forced to meet a quota of at least several thousand US dollars scam per month. Assuming each employee earns an average of 5,000 US dollars per month. Multiply by 1,000 people, the average number. We get 60 million US dollars per year for one camp. In Cambodia, there are hundreds of such camps, so the high-tech scam industry can bring in 6 to 10 billion US dollars per year. Some sources estimate this number could be larger, and thus surpass Cambodia's garment industry. Some estimates for Cambodia and the camps here could put the figure at 6,000 US dollars. Not exaggerating, many United Nations experts even that the underground economy from scams and money laundering is actually the pillar of the country where cybercrime contributes more than tourism. Accumulated over 4 years of operation, assuming just 4, on average they earn $34 million per day, which is about $800 billion. Moreover, every minute that passes, they print another approximately $24,000, equivalent to over half of it. This figure makes even top Vietnamese economic corporations envious, let alone in Cambodia. During the time we watched this video, the scammers have earned another brand new car. People call this the new type of money printing machine. No need for paper, no need for ink, just people and greed. A systematic scam model with hierarchy, KPIs, even productivity bonuses for good scammers. It's exactly like a startup company. Only the product isn't something useful, but rather deceiving others, stealing trust. So where does that money go? Of course it has to be laundered, and the most familiar money laundering location is not far away. It's London, a familiar name among the super rich. According to the UK Ministry of Justice, Tran Tri and accomplices bought a £12 million villa in Abbey Road, the wealthy North London area. An office building worth £100 million in the city's financial center. Not to mention yachts, private jets, Picasso paintings, ultra-luxury watches, diamonds, and even private wine cellars. Virtual currency is transferred through cross-border exchange, sent to other companies in Hong Kong, and then transferred back to the UK. By the time it reached London, it had become legal money, invested in real estate and generating actual profits. Tran Tri even hired British lawyers and accountants to pay taxes in full. Except that all that tax money was essentially still illegal money. If you step into Tran Tri's villa, LLC it, with a 25-meter swimming pool, fish pond, badminton court, automatic garage, and private cinema, Tran Tri travels by Bentley, Rolls-Royce, wears super luxury watches, drinks golden wine worth thousands, and is surrounded by Chinese bodyguards who are former mercenaries. If Cambodia had the title of Bitcoin billionaire, then Tran Tri is the Elon Musk of the underworld. More frighteningly, this system has spread so widely that local officials are suspected of turning a blind eye in exchange for a share. Things that everyone knows about, so why can't they be dealt with? Can only be due to turning a blind eye. At this point, we understand this is not just a crime story, but also a network of power, money, and corruption. Look more broadly at Cambodia's economic picture to see that. Current society is even more chaotic than the Cambodian city. On average each year, Cambodia attracts about 5 million and brings in about 2.5 billion US. But if calculated correctly, the country's online fraud earns dozens of times that amount. Analysts call this the era of traded trust. If drugs were the highest profit commodity of the 20th century, then human trust is the highest profit commodity of the 21st. That's right, scammers don't produce anything, only sell illusions. But their revenue equals that of real technology corporations. The US and UK could no longer ignore it. They took action, and since then, a series of luxury properties in London was sealed. Bank accounts were frozen, yachts were confiscated, private jets were banned from flying. An empire that seemed invincible suddenly collapsed. Although Tran Tri could face up to 40 years in prison, his network hasn't disappeared. In Cambodia, there are still Tran Tri's henchmen. In Laos too, in Myanmar too, in the Philippines too. There are still hundreds of similar scam camps operating under the guise of high-tech zones. They change names, transfer money through more anonymous blockchains, use AI to generate voices, use fake faces, making investigations nearly impossible. Experts warn that without stronger international cooperation, the era of virtualized cybercrime will continue. Virtual currency is invisible, but the consequences are This is very real for all of us. Thousands of families, thousands of people lost money. Hundreds were forced into labor, and an entire country was labeled a criminal paradise. Surely Cambodians don't want to be labeled like that either. This Tran Tri takedown is not just news, but also a lesson for the cryptocurrency. A group of people sitting behind computer screens in Cambodia could create an economy larger than Phnom Penh. A fraudulent corporation had value equivalent to legitimate corporations, even in Vietnam, let alone Cambodia. And a boss owns a villa in central London, just through fake messages on social media. This is clear evidence that the world is entering an era where criminals know how to use technology better than and wealth doesn't mean hard work or intelligence. but is the result of systematic deception. When a criminal gang in Cambodia can possess assets equivalent to half the country's GDP, people are forced to ask, what's behind our computer screens? What's behind our phone screens? Be careful. And perhaps the answer lies with us, those who still believe in messages, promises of making lots of money, and forget that online, no one is truly rich except those laughing behind the screens. Thank you for following this story. If you found it interesting, you can click subscribe to the Hidden Ledger channel, turn on notifications, and now, please don't say goodbye. Leave your comments and goodbye.